What's going on, virtual golfers? We have more PGA Tour 2K25 news coming out this morning. 2K just a little bit ago has dropped on their PGA Tour 2K Twitter that they have a developer diary, which this to me feels like they're taking another little piece out of EA's playbook, because I think what EA did with their game was very good in how they dropped information, and it looks like we're getting something similar. Got about a 10-minute video to get through. We are going to watch through it. We are going to dive into every little bit that we can find. So if you enjoy stuff like this, please drop a like, drop a sub so you don't miss any future videos on PGA Tour 2K25 news. We are going to be playing a ton of it. We're going to be streaming most of it. We stream 2K23 at the moment as well if you're interested in that. But let's dive in. Let's let it roll. Just a touch here. All right, MyPlayer, MyCareer overview.
Hey, golf fans. Welcome to our first Developer Diary episode for PGA Tour 2K25. My name is Lawrence Forster, and I'm a lead designer on the project.
And my name is Ken Alguire. I'm a lead producer for PGA Tour 2K25. Today, we're excited to run you through all the changes and additions we have made to both our flagship mode.
Whoa. What are you? What is this? We're not even 30 seconds in. This is very different when it comes to putting. You've got your contact. See, the interesting thing here is we're going to also have rhythm with putting this time around, whereas it was only ever swing plane. Right, so now I think path and contact... Actually, I think contact more comes from like the rhythm side of things. Before we just had transition and swing path, so I'm very curious how that goes. But did we miss anything UI-wise? I mean, we've got a bunch of different circles up there. I don't know if this is a mini game or if this is like actually in the middle of a round.
As well as our MyPlayer customization and progression systems.
Let's kick off by walking you through everything you can expect from MyCareer within PGA Tour 2K25.
I still think this is hilarious. They just can't, and I'm sure EA has something to do with it, and obviously Augusta, I don't know if EA has exclusive rights, and maybe eventually 2K will be able to get them. But it's just a funny thing, like, we have the three of the majors. But we got Make Your Name, so we've got Sunday Red, I think, is the biggest thing. Obviously, that's coming from Tiger being associated with the game and then playing through the FedEx Cup. So, I mean, you've got as much PGA Tour, like, related things. Over 30 events spanning multiple stages of your career. Multiple stages of your career, so I don't know, maybe there's some Corn Ferry events in there. Maybe there would be a shock with, like, DP World Tour events. I don't think so, but it would be kind of neat if you had, like, Abu Dhabi or some of the, or not Abu Dhabi, Dubai, you know, some of those other more international events that are some of the bigger signature ones. But curious to see if they give us a little bit more with that, considering this is a MyCareer deep dive.
Expect from MyCareer within PGA Tour 2K25.
All right, show me.
In MyCareer, the player will choose where to start their journey, either in Q School, on the Corn Ferry Tour, or jumping directly to the PGA Tour.
Okay, so that's the same. I DP World Tour stuff was a stretch. From what I remember of 2K21, 23, you can play through a full Corn Ferry Tour season. You can go right to the championship and just let that basically one event dictate how things go for you, or you jump into the PGA Tour. I remember back in 2K21, I think I was like, oh, I'm going to play career mode, 4 rounds per tournament. Like, I'm going to fully immerse myself. I was stuck at TPC Louisiana, hitting it into the water over and over again in 2K21. I cut it from 4 rounds to 2 to 1, and then pretty much just played 1 and maybe upped it for major tournaments. We'll see if, being a better player now, how we'll dive into that. Probably we'll do something similar, but...
Players compete in tournaments in a schedule that mirrors the real life.
Okay, that seems like it has a little bit more movement. Also, can we just take a moment to look at this man's scorecard? Even on the way out, but pro golfer clutches out 9 under, 9 straight birdies on the back 9 to put himself ahead of all of these players. We got Rory, we got Chad Ramey, we got Tiger, Xander Schauffele, Chris Kirk, Davis Thompson, Cam Davis, Max Homa, and Wyndham Clark, rounding out the top 10 at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which is actually happening this weekend. So good timing.
Tournaments in a schedule that mirrors the real-life PGA Tour as they vie for points, with the goal of finishing in the top 70 and earning a spot in the playoffs with a chance to compete for the coveted FedEx Cup.
Of course.
A pillar of ours at HB is to give players the most authentic.
Ooh, okay. If this is the look, I know subtle UI change, but if that's the look, that's very like TV looking. I like it. It looks clean. That looks clean. And I'm assuming where it says 2K official, that's the society. You've got platform identifier. That looks pretty slick. I'm a big fan.
Authentic PGA Tour experience possible. So let's jump into some of the key additions.
Okay, we'll let them talk through it, and then we can.
We're really excited to be able to
hold on, because I saw something. Unplayed holes simulate. Round length, full round, holes to play, dynamic. Okay, so career mode, you can have you don't have to play all 18. Another little thing they're taking from EA where there will be something that determines, what are meaningful holes if you don't want to just grind through it. Not necessarily my cup of tea. I'm just going to play it, but if you want to go through, I think Madden and some of those games do it as well, where you have key moments that you sim through in a career. Everybody's got their preferences. Not one of mine, but I think probably still a good addition.
We're really excited to be able to include 3 of the major championships this iteration. We'll be including the PGA Championship, the US Open, and the Open Championship, alongside their courses for the 2025 season.
All looking pretty good.
Forgiveness, the thing every golfer looks for in their clubs. But what if you could have it in your swing too?
Okay, just little thing to notice here. This circle grows larger as they swing. And so I'm assuming that has to do with the power, right? Clubs. As they've swung back to here, this blue ring has grown out. We've got tee shot, driver, 297-yard driver, which is about, it's a little bit shorter, but you don't know what stats and stuff they have on the character, compared to 2K23. In 2K23, we had, you can get some of your skills and things to max it out at 307 yards or so before you put ball fittings on.
But what if you could have it in your swing too?
Okay, I'm assuming there's some wind, because if this is perfect contact, perfect transition, perfect swing, even though there's a little bit of movement there, it's stalling perfect. It's moving a little bit, so there's probably some wind on this shot, unless the shot shaping is applied, but we haven't seen that yet.
Introducing Perfect Swing. One of our goals, alongside making the most authentic golf game on the market, is delivering the most accessible golfing experience. Our Perfect Swing difficulty setting does just that. As our new players get used to the complex game of golf, they can have this option to ease that journey, with a swing, unlike mine, sure to find its target. And for those low handicappers who just want to kick back and relax before jumping back into MyCareer, Perfect Swing is perfect for them too.
Okay, we're gonna roll that back, because let's take a look at some of these options. So Perfect Swing is basically a twist on what they have now, which was turning the swing off, but maybe there are some minor nuances to it. But what I'm noticing in here, vibration is in the same settings window as the gameplay difficulty preset. That's a huge change. Because vibration used to just be a player preference thing. Now if you actually add that in and make it part of the difficulty conversation, for those of us that play TGC Tours, that might have big implications. But just in terms of, hey, I want to play on a harder difficulty, turning the vibration off, there's 4 settings. So you probably have on, off. What would the other 2 be? On for putting only. And there's going to be one other one, which is not coming to mind right now. Lie range classic, maybe that's classic for me. Feels like that would be not an on-off thing. Classic and some sort of variable there. Swing bias input offset. So I think, you know what? I think the character might actually have a swing bias. If it's off, then maybe it's straight. But your character might have a swing bias of a left to right or right to left swing. But that's part of the difficulty. Oh, that's very interesting. Because swing context input offset is also another variable. There's a lot of new stuff here in the difficulty, which means a couple of things. Maybe the difficulty multiplier also goes beyond like the 2.5x, I believe that it is currently. But also there's a lot of new stuff, which hopefully we're going to dive into here very, very shortly. But those are just a couple of things that caught my eye here. Rhythm preference is also an option. Like this section right here of like 5 options, completely new. But let's hop back over into the Evo Swing and see if they elaborate on any of that.
Our franchise has been built on stellar gameplay, and Evo Swing is taking it to the next level, taking into account the lie angle, the golfer's natural ball flight, and any shot shaping when determining the swing input for each shot. Evo Swing emphasizes precision inputs over the swing timing of the past.
There it is. That's from Shot Shape. The left to right swing change. Now, if there's a swing bias that's on top of it, then maybe that exaggerates it even more. What do we have here? So that's tee shot driver. This one goes 292, where we just ended at. This said approach shot. I know I'm the video player piece here is kind of covering things, but right underneath 7-iron, we got approach shot as a type of shot that you can hit. So that's just leading into all of the different shot types that they're going to be giving to us. I want to know what else we've got, because we know tee shot, we know stinger, we know approach. You know, are they going to give us variants of the flop shot like EA did? You know, knockdown, like all those different things.
The past. Don't worry. 3-click has evolved right alongside swing stick. Both swing input types are made up of 4 parts, as you can see here in our swing feedback meter. The transition, the expanding ring, sets the power and distance control.
Yep.
During the backswing, the swing path at the bottom sets the push-pull of the shot. The rhythm, the collapsing ring, applies a distance control modifier to the shot. During the downswing, the contact at the top sets the hook slice of the shot.
All right, out of that bunker, onto the green.
Okay. That gives a little bit more context. So for reference, 2K23, like I've said before, was rhythm, transition, and swing path. Rhythm was called tempo. The way that it worked, transition was just how you hit your power relative to what you set. Pretty self-explanatory, seems to be the same thing here. Now, I don't know how overpower is going to work, because technically with that, you're always, like, that should theoretically always throw off your transition and rhythm. In this game, you could go to 110%. I don't know if they'll change something like that. Who knows? But swing path in 2K23, 2K21, probably as far, even further back than that. The swing path was just a combination of how your swing laid out. It didn't matter about... They always kind of talked about it being, your backswing and your through swing kind of following it. Didn't really matter. Where your swing ended, that's where your shot went. Right? So you could be fully out to the right, finish to the right. That's where your shot was going. If you started left, ended right, that's where it was. So it was always like the annoyance of, I finished a pixel outside of the line, block. This now seems like they've split it into 2 halves. So you have the transition, then your swing path and contact are, this is how my shot is going to start, and contact, this is how it's going to affect the curvature of it. So if you hit it right, now you're going to get, as a right-handed golfer, you're going to get a block cut. Similarly, like left side, fully, you could get a pull hook. Now, if you go, straight line and miss your mark, now you're going to get like your normal curvatures of a push draw, or a pull cut. And that's fine because, if those are within reason, start left, but it fades back to the right and vice versa, your dispersion isn't as great. Obviously distance is a separate factor there. Now, the rhythm thing is interesting because I think, from what I'm understanding, they're just giving a visual to the rhythm, the tempo that we're used to. But I want to replay this and see just exactly how that kind of gets explained.
The push-pull of the shot. The rhythm, the collapsing ring, applies a distance control modifier to the shot. During the downswing, the contact at the top sets the hooks.
So is that... We're gonna go real slow on this. Because this starts moving as you go from your backswing down through. But is the ring moving relative to start and end of that swing? Or is it like a timing of the stick actually moving through that middle section only? So let's see when it registers.
Pull of the...
I'm gonna mute it because we don't really need to listen. So it's closing. I know this is in super slow-mo, but I want to catch it. Because now you're going through... I think it feels like as you're going through that black ring is when it actually happens. Okay. So it's from black ring to black ring. So it is not from top to top. It's actually probably, if you think about like a real golf swing, when you talk about like the 9-3 drill, right? I think that's where it's talking about timing. So all of this is ancillary, which makes sense, right? Because if trying to overpower the shot now all of a sudden affected the timing, it really doesn't have too much to do with how you square up the club. You look at how different professional golfers may have all sorts of different things going at the start and end of their swing. But 9-3, you're going to be a lot more consistent, and that's a lot more about how you actually deliver to the golf ball. So that makes sense. Now, how, as people are trying to learn it and you're squaring things up, watching that circle, like I don't know that that's really going to be a thing. Maybe it's good to like watch, video clips back to kind of see, but I'm not going to be able to watch it and be like, full power, tempo. I think that's going to be something that we learn, but that's good to see that that's kind of how that works, is it's about the middle section of your swing is what that rhythm piece is. All right, let's speed it back up and unmute it. We don't need to be down in 0.25 time anymore.
During the downswing,
all right. Physics and
PGA
shot
Tour
prediction
2K25
system
includes a brand new high-resolution terrain system, complete with
that
revised ball physics
so different,
that allow the ball to roll and react to terrain with much more accuracy than before.
When I say that looks so different, I'm saying like visually, it looks so much better. It looks much more like the EA kind of look that we had. And I'm sure there's so much that they're doing. It also has to do with the fact that we're cutting old gen. So I'm sorry, those of you that are hanging on to your PS4s and your Xbox Ones. It's been 5 years, almost. It's been like a little over 4 years. It's time. I'm sorry. You're holding it back. Look at what they've done. Look at what they've done without you. If you want to play, come to the future. The time is now. But things look a lot better here. We got a 60-degree wedge chip shot. You could definitely see the bounces, a lot more clearly as it was going. But I just think that like this coloration and stuff, and even from this shot, I just think things look a whole lot better.
4. Our all-new shot prediction system allows us to predict exactly where your shot will go the moment the ball leaves the club face. This allows our commentators to react in real time, just as they would on TV.
Right on line, but just misses.
So good old John McCarthy can roast you with even more accuracy than before.
Yikes.
Might be right.
Can we just talk about this swing for a second? Not even perfect swing path. 75 degrees open. My man's hitting, his hands are through like this. Like, what happened? What in the world happened there? But it is nice. You see that the rhythm there, 0.03 seconds off, added 1.5% power. So you want to talk about, like, if you want to be a very good ball striker, you are going to have to be very rhythmic, which might make skills and things that affect rhythm and maybe help it very, very powerful. Because I feel like distance was a big thing in this game. This might actually rein that back in and incentivize, hey, some forgiveness on rhythm might be very, very helpful. Okay, but they're showing an 8-iron punch shot here. And I think just overall, I still want to see, like, this rhythm now being a factor in putting and being able to affect power. Like, that's going to make putting even more difficult, because before it was set your line, can I hit the power? Good. Doesn't matter how fast or slow your thumbstick is. Like, now there's an extra cadence to things. So as much as they say that these games are for the casual, like, they are making it more difficult, which speaks to me. Make it harder to master. It'll rein scores in a little bit, but yeah, I want there to be new things to learn, new things to improve at. It gets harder to exploit when there are more variables. So I'm very much so looking forward to that. Also, it's just a cool little thing. I kind of always thought that they had it already, or that this was just the standard to have the shot prediction. Because a lot of times in games that I've played, and maybe it's with some mobile games and stuff, but almost as soon as you input something, because it's just a series of calculations, that you would know the end result regardless of the animation. So I'm a little bit surprised that that's not how it's already always worked. You know, good to see that they're adding it, because that also helps with things like, you know, when you have stuff, connections to servers, you know, something disconnects, that info is saved. It wasn't like an animation has to play out, because I guess in that situation before, you could technically have somehow some variable changes slightly between the reloads, and, you know, before it crashes, one animation is happening, it reloads, and the ball ends up in a different place. Now things should be consistent there, but having the extra, you know, having it where the commentator is better versed in what's actually going on, that probably also helps crowd reactions, because I think before it's trying to rely on animation, so it was like, your shot input was crap, and then the result is good, and the crowd is like, boo, Now things should probably be a little bit more cohesive. Now, I turned John off very, very early. I'll probably turn him on for the first little bit of us playing the game, and then he'll go off because I only need to hear it so much. But yeah, that's definitely a nice add. Dynamic rounds. Ooh.
Players are now able to leverage the game's simulation engine and their MyPlayer's current skills to dynamically simulate holes on a course, allowing the player to experience playing in a tournament, but in a shorter amount of time.
That looked good for a while.
Players can participate.
Okay, that told us basically nothing. More than what we could have deduced from the screen grab earlier, but yeah, there it is. There's the official bit. Now this training scenarios. Okay, you want to talk about more immersive, better? I mean, I know for some people, and I'm sure over time, like, this stuff becomes less enjoyable. But I'm facing the wrong way. I know where my camera is. You've got a week's worth of stuff. Training, pre-tournament, and then the tournament. And then it's showing upcoming in 10 weeks the players, so I'm sure that's maybe they're on the Corn Ferry Tour because this is the Ace Championship. Yeah, maybe they're trying to say like, hey, if you make it, you can go play in this, or maybe that's like the next, main event. We've got a personality, popularity, and then notifications. But from screenshots that they've shown, we're gonna have like press interviews and things like that. So I'm interested in like how popularity and personality play into other aspects of the career mode. Because the real question is like, what does that affect? Right? Like, I'm popular or I have a bad personality. What does that do elsewhere? Like, does that open up opportunities for something? But I do think that having this training pre-tournament okay, hold on. My eyes are reading. Imagine that. Sharpen your skills and prepare for the next tournament. Earn attribute boosts to enhance your on-course performance and XP rate boosts to accelerate your golfer's progression. So you do the training. I don't know if those attribute boosts are like a permanent thing or if they're just for that week. But the XP rate boost, so you want to talk about, how do I level up? That's how you level up. Also, I'm noticing across the top, Ace Tournament Championship. I guess this is week 1. This must start in the fall because, actually not. The Players is in like March. So maybe this is like right at the beginning of January. This would just be a different tournament that they don't have the rights to. But you can see that it's a bunch of minor tournaments, the Players. You've got a couple of majors in there. Now there are 4 tournaments on there outside of the championship. So that's the 4 majors. One of them is just they're made up. It might be that Legends course again. So you've got the Players, the 5 majors, right? Players being the 5th one, 4 majors, and then the FedEx Cup Championship spread out across the top. Very cool.
Participate in bite-sized training scenarios, such as landing on the green within a certain amount of shots, or sinking a few long putts. Successfully completing these scenarios will result in boosts to the player's attributes that carry into the next week's tournament.
Okay,
we also have practice rounds, which will give the player an opportunity to get a lay of the land on a course they are unfamiliar with, and special sponsor events that enable the user to progress their sponsor relationship even faster.
Okay, so there were sponsor events in the last game, or not sponsor events in the last game. You had sponsors in the last game, but now there are sponsor events to be able to help boost them a little bit more quickly, which is nice. Maybe there are more sponsors, and so speeding it up is going to actually be like a very important part of things. But let's just look real quickly as we roll this back. This is the same slightly elevated driving range from 2K23. 2K21 to 2K23, complete revamp. This, however, is what we have currently. Except now we've got some different flags, different signposts. That might just be with
landing
asset
on the
changing
green within a certain amount of shot.
But clearly, training stuff can also happen on the driving range. So maybe they're utilizing some of these greens, some of these flags and circles. Clearly, we've got some pop up here for some accuracy drills. So giving some new purpose to some old things. But so these boosts are for the upcoming event, and then the practice round, there was a little pop-up here. Okay, so the practice round doesn't even have to be a full round. Get a feel for the course, earn some extra performance boost before the tournament. Might be worth doing, especially just to like boost your golfer up as fast as you can. Ace Championship at TPC Boston, and then you pick your objectives. Finish the 4 holes in 2 under or better, even, or 1 over or better. So, yeah, I think a nice little thing, especially if you're not as good at the game, or maybe you're playing on a really hard difficulty and just getting that extra little help before each round.
Have practice rounds, which will give the player an opportunity.
All right, let's jump. Oh, okay.
Through the new conversation and interview system, players will begin to build out their own personality and their fan base. After a tournament is finished, players will receive invites to press conferences and sit-down interviews with media outlets, messages from fellow PGA Tour pros to compete in rivalries, and offers from major brands for sponsorship.
Okay, so that's how they're doing rivalries.
Performance-based sponsorship opportunities will arise that result in a change to the player's popularity.
Reaching each threshold of
popularity will earn the user a chunk of VC to improve their MyPlayer's attributes, equipment, or apparel. Players will also be presented with various dilemmas that can make a direct impact on the course. For example, do you choose to hit the weights hard and gain some power, or focus on mobility and improve your rhythm? Each decision will have a meaningful impact on your player's attributes in the next tournament. In every conversation, the user can build out their MyPlayer's personality, which can either be bold, reserved, or composed. Players are encouraged to pick the personality that resonates with them and stay consistent in the public eye to increase their popularity quickly.
Okay, so how your character is personality-wise affects your followers. The followers affect your opportunities in terms of sponsors, some other things, and those, I guess, have effects on your character's attributes. Now, I know that MyPlayer does go outside the realm of MyCareer, so I am a little bit curious about, I guess, if you take your character out into societies or ranked or whatever, that the popularity, like the sponsor-related boosts are not going to carry. Like, your overall stats will, but some of the individual things I wouldn't think are going to carry over. But I mean, it makes sense. I was like, what are these things, and like why are they going to affect my golf game? But it's kind of each thing has a small effect on the next thing that then goes into your game for at least that week. A quest system.
A layer on top of your MyCareer journey and the rest of the game is our new quest system.
Okay.
This new system is another way for players to engage with the game and earn different rewards on a daily, weekly, or seasonal basis.
Okay.
The main quest for MyCareer is the GOAT checklist, inspired by the career of our legendary cover athlete, Tiger Woods. Players will need to win tournaments, complete the career Grand Slam,
give you
earn
VC,
fans,
give you
defeat
some
rivals,
clubs,
and build their brand by signing sponsorships.
XP.
Now it's time.
Okay. Now, I know there are going to be mixed opinions on some of these things, and I'm sure that I will also get annoyed by some of the quests of like, I have to play 2 rounds of Topgolf today. But you know what? It's up to you if you want the XP or the VC. I think the virtual currency is going to be an interesting thing to explore. What do you use it for? Because as someone who plays the game a lot, I think somewhere in the ballpark of 900 hours on this last game, over 1,000 in the one before. I had a kid, okay? I can't play the game as much. Before somebody's like, calling me out, wow, he doesn't even play it as much? What are we doing here? Life happens, all right? But I still like it. We'll see what the virtual currency can actually be used for. I'm sure it's going to be used for upgrading, fitting, all of that. As you play, you get a bunch. Now you have these dailies. It's a little something extra to grind. Dailies, weeklies, monthlies. That little more that kind of keeps people roped in, but gives me something to do outside of just getting in the same routine. It's like, okay, let's see what the dailies are. Let's go and knock those out. You know, you're maybe playing some matches and different things that you normally wouldn't. Maybe there's going to be more than VC. Maybe every once in a while, you know, maybe the bigger ones like the weeklies and monthlies, maybe they have a club. Maybe they have a fitting. You know, maybe there's something else to reach for. But I think overall having something that just it eats at that little part of everybody's brain that goes, oh, I gotta log in and do that today. That keeps people coming back, keeps people playing, and maybe that keeps people, you know, maybe you're coming and saying hello at a live stream because you're continuing to play the game, and we're still playing it. All right, MyPlayer time.
To take a look at MyPlayer to show you all the ways you can tailor your experience to become the ultimate PGA Tour pro in MyCareer and rise through the ranks in multiplayer.
So we got 2 body types.
And rise through the ranks.
What do we got here? You've got a bunch of head presets. I'm sure, you know, obviously there's a bunch of presets under these. She is looking great.
All the ways you can tailor your experience to become the ultimate PGA Tour pro.
We've got 2 heights, body shape, muscle definition, and a height slider. So it did say per body type. I can't tell because there's no hair outlines or anything. It looks like the body type might just be type A, type B, like supposed to imply that there's only 2. Now, who knows if they'll add a 3rd one at some point. I just know on one of the pre-order things, I think it was the Legend one where it talks about like season pass stuff says 1 outfit per body type. So I didn't know if there were going to be multiple for male, multiple for female. It looks like it's just the 2. But we'll keep an eye on if that ever changes.
In MyCareer and rise through the ranks in multiplayer.
I want so much more
customization in PGA Tour 2K25 has made a large step forward. The key additions we've made here are increasing the base head models per body type from 1 to 4, offering a larger variety of skin tones and customization options, increasing the number and style of different hair options, as well as additional facial and skin customization, adding the ability for players to customize their height and body types. We believe all these changes allow for greater representation and the ability to really let you create your ideal golfer.
People wanted their big golfers back. And you know what I want? I want my old golfer back. I don't mean just the guy that I had in 2K21. I want to make him old again. Guy Viso, who is, the face guy. Viso is face in Italian. Guy face. Whatever. That's my character. In 2K21, he was this awesome old dude. And in 2K23, he ended up having the Benjamin Button treatment, and he became a young man, kind of Chris McDonald looking, to be honest. I want to go back to the old guy. So I'm hoping there are some options for that. Maybe it's in the hair color. Maybe there are some faces that just look a little bit older. That's what I'm hoping for. But I'm happy for those that would like to also have the bigger golfer. You got what you wanted. All right, Archetypes. Before they dive in, I'm going to pause it. The streamer, you're not even streaming. Why are you calling yourself streamer? Whatever. It's a force of habit. They're talking about these, and I know we're pausing it before we get going. They have announced a few of these on Twitter already. I believe from images that we've seen in previous videos and tweets, we know 4 out of the 5. I believe the Greensman has been renamed to Greenskeeper. There's a Magician. The Rhythm one has been renamed. I think everything's just a rename from last game. The only one that hasn't been accounted for is Sculptor. So maybe that's the same. Maybe that's renamed as well. I just wanted to say that. All right, here
Archetype you think best suits your playstyle is the foundation to build out the rest of your skills and attributes.
A powerhouse.
In PGA Tour 2K25, you can choose from...
Okay. Powerhouse, Magician, Technician, Greenskeeper, Sculptor. So Powerhouse and Sculptor stay over. Greenskeeper is a rename, Technician is a rename, and Magician is a rename. But we have more stats.
Greenskeeper, Powerhouse, Technician, Sculptor, and Magician.
Yeah, they all have strength,
archetype to choose?
Whoa.
Well,
How many golfers? Are these all me? You can make different builds? Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's very interesting. Because, I mean, I don't know if you have to run... It looks like you have to level them up and run them through career and stuff, which is, I guess, forced replay and forced grind. But that's an interesting concept because now all of a sudden you're playing competitive stuff. Maybe you know what course you're playing, and you can pick your virtual golfer that suits the play style of that course. Now, I don't know how mentally that's going to go, like making the changes in terms of like your normal forgivenesses and distances as you go through week to week. But that's a very interesting concept from like the competitor golfer side of me. Because I'm someone who just takes my golfer, shows up at the course and plays the tournament. Now all of a sudden, hey, maybe you do play a practice round. Obviously, you're probably locked into a character for the 4 rounds in a society. But, hey, they're playing this course. This course requires maybe more precision. Maybe it's more putt-driven. Maybe it's, length is king there. And you can have a couple of different characters that you build out that are really suited to certain things. That's a very interesting change that I did not see coming.
On PGA Tour 2K25, we've also added the ability to have multiple MyPlayers. This allows you to try all the different archetypes and progression paths and never feel locked into your first pick.
Yeah, you don't have to respec your entire character
Attributes
every time
are the core MyPlayer stats that affect your base swing and putting mechanics, and each archetype has its own set of starting attributes that are reflective of the specific playstyle. To improve these
attributes, can we just... What is with these golfers? We had one early in the video where they birdied the entire back 9 out. We've got pro golfer here birdieing 8 through 17, and then unfortunately for him, he couldn't get the job done on 18. But this is like right, we'll start shooting the thing, and then we'll turn on perfect swing, and we'll finish recording it, and it's just like birdies all over the shop. I don't know. I just think that's a funny little
style. To improve these attributes, you use VC to apply attribute points.
Yep,
As you level up and assign attribute points to your different stats, your overall rating will increase, which is a measure of your total attribute ceiling. By default, each MyPlayer has enough attribute points unlocked to progress to OVR 85. Once you reach that level, you must earn XP through completing rounds and objectives to increase your OVR to the 99 OVR cap. Once you reach an OVR of 90 with one of your MyPlayers, you unlock Rebirth. This gives all newly created MyPlayers a pool of free attribute points that you can assign to a new MyPlayer right away to jumpstart your progress.
Okay, we're going to have to roll that back. So you start at 85, or you have enough points to go to 85. It looks like you start at like 68 or so to have enough points to go to 85. Then you grind it to 99. But they said something interesting there. When you get to level 90... on a character, you have, which is only 5 levels from where you start, you get Rebirth, which I guess by default gives extra to your other players.
Increase your OVR to the 99 OVR cap. Once you reach an OVR of 90 with one of your MyPlayers, you unlock Rebirth. This gives all newly created MyPlayers a pool of free attribute points that you can assign to a new MyPlayer right away to jumpstart your progress.
Okay, so it might be, I'm assuming that even if you get that to 99, it probably just means that instead of starting at 85 for all your other characters, they all can go to 90, but you probably have to grind each character from 90 to 99, if I had to guess. I don't feel like they're going to just give it out fully for free, but it's like, hey, here's enough to get you going on a new character. Now go play the game a little bit to get your character maxed out. But either way, a pretty neat system. Like it's a fair balance in my opinion. All right, skills
in 2K25 have been completely overhauled with new branching trees for each discipline on the course. Each tree is populated with a ton of all new shot types and the ability to improve your proficiency for each type. There are 5 main skill trees to choose from: tee skills, approach skills, recovery skills, bunker skills, and green skills. There are a limited number of skill points available, which limits players to about 2/3 of the skills. How you choose to spend your skill points will be key, much like attribute points, to create the ideal golfer for you.
2/3 of the tree. So you are going to have to make choices. I'm assuming that each MyPlayer can get a different skill tree unlock. I'm kind of hoping, because I think as you change the stats, you probably want some of the skills to be different on those characters too. But let's go and just take a look as they page through here what stuff they have highlighted. So you've got Choked Approach, which is this one right here. So I think this is probably the normal, because these are picked by default. So you probably have this one, Choked Approach, a full swing with a slightly reduced carry distance, achieved by gripping the club closer to the shaft, can be performed with all clubs except the driver from anywhere on the course. Okay, and it looks like there may be some upgrades to that. Like this unlocks the shot type, and then these ones improve it, and it looks like there's some additional improvements. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 like main shot types for approach, and then it looks like it's probably some, hey, this makes that stat just a little, or this skill just a little bit better. I'm assuming full swing with the slightly reduced carry distance, maybe that's just a way to give you like an in-betweener. Instead of lofting your shot, maybe it's, I want to keep the same kind of spin, but just it gives you some extra club gapping. Maybe there's some extra things. We'll break down these approaches, these different skills in the future as we mess with them and really test them out. See how it affects spin and all that different stuff. But let's see what else they have.
All new shot types and the ability to improve.
So you got your basic punch shot, Makes sense. Woods, hybrids, and irons from any surface aside from bunkers. So you can't punch out from bunkers. It also seems like this punch shot is for recovery only. So stinger on driver off the tee, probably anything off the tee will be able to do a stinger. But stinger and punch shot being differentiated here.
For each type. There are 5 main skill trees.
Okay, this is a blast bunker shot. So this is what I can only assume to be splash. And then we've got blast, a very forgiving bunker shot that comes out low and runs out far. Now, for me, I've always been someone on the splash shot, full loft, full spin, try and get it up, bounce and hit. Blast shot kind of feels like how splash shots worked if you didn't shape it at all. Like they came out and they ran forever. Maybe there are certain greens that is actually better. I think the hardest part for me is always like, how far does it run out? I think that's something that, maybe if we put a little bit more time to it, we will get better at it. But, Blast not really giving a lot of information away there with it, but that's okay.
Tee skills?
Choke tee shot. Okay, so they're basically showing us the choked on tee and approach are the same. It's just they're separated. So probably likely that there's some duplicates between the tee and approach, but I think that's all right.
Approach skills.
Rhythm sweet spot increased when performing a choked approach. Okay, so that's how they classify the upgrades. Maybe they're all to rhythm, maybe they're to some other stat. Maybe it's a combination of stats, right? Maybe one increases the swing plane, one increases, you've got 4 of them seemingly on each. So maybe it's one of each of the 4 components. You get one for rhythm, swing path, transition, contact. That would make sense to me. I mean, they all have the same icon, which is maybe a little bit weird to that, but that could be the way that goes, which gives you, outside of the main path to the next thing, some flexibility as to where, maybe your game is a little bit better at transition, so you don't need to ever put it into that, or, one of the other stats. I just want to see...
Recovery skill.
Okay, so this is flop. So flop is just a default one. That makes sense. This is probably some sort of specialty flop. All right, so we've got the increase performance, rhythm performing a flop. Maybe this is like a high flop. It's something that EA did in theirs. Probably going to be pretty busted. But obviously we'll have to see how these things actually play out. Oh, no, they did highlight over it.
Trees to choose from. Tee skills, approach skills,
sons of guns.
Recovery skills.
Super flop. Fast on the trigger. A flashy shot that climbs higher than it travels, landing soft with minimal roll. Now, the interesting thing with this stuff, and I think what may actually make it very powerful to have, you were able to do a lot of these shots in 2K23. You would just have to apply the shape yourself, right? Whether it be adding the loft, de-lofting, affecting the spin as well. You could get some of these stingers and super flops and stuff. What I think is going to be interesting is, because they're separate skills and they are skills that you can, essentially boost certain parts of the swing, is it going to be in such a way that your default forgivenesses are better now because you have it as a skill, right? Because if you were trying to do a super flop, let's call it, in 2K23, you'd give it full loft. Maybe you give it full backspin. That would put some backspin on it. Full loft, maybe a little bit of backspin. Pop it up. Try and sit it, right? But in doing so, you were going to shrink your swing plane and your forgiveness very tight because you're putting a lot of shaping onto it. So with it being a shot type that your character has learned, presumably you can now do the same shot with a little bit more forgiveness. I think that makes sense.
Bunker skills and green skills.
Okay, so we've got putt, which is default, but there's a second one. There's a second one right out the gate here. And you've got 4. So I think we saw Texas Wedge flash on one screen. Actually, we have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can count. That's fine. So you got 6 different putt types. So what would you have? You'd have a regular putt. You have a Texas Wedge. You probably have like a lag putt. Maybe something that helps you just get power right. But 3 other putt types. Huh. Let's see if they show us anything.
There are a
with
limited
that.
number of skill.
Okay, so there's lag putt. Sacrifices accuracy for distance forgiveness to get you safely to the cup. Probably good for really long putts, especially really long putts that maybe have some danger around the hole. Like if you miss it, goodbye.
Points available, which limits players to about 2/3 of the skills.
And actually, and now having a thought, this ties back to the difficulty options that we saw. If vibration and some of those other stats are actually difficulty modifiers that can be controlled in societies and things like that, and you're playing on one with no vibration, all of a sudden a stat like this becomes way better. You've got a 65-foot putt down the hill, bend it, whatever. Give me that accuracy, because I'm not gonna wanna blow this one by and off the green. Like, just get me down close there. So now that I'm thinking about it, that like opens up just a whole other, can of worms.
How you choose to spend your skill points will be key, much like attribute points.
Okay, there's the Texas Wedge. I still don't know what this guy is. So you got regular putt, you've got lag, you've got Texas Wedge. 1, 2. Did I really count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. I left this one out of the count. I'm like, where are my numbers going?
Points to create the ideal golfer for you.
Texas Wedge is also an interesting one because like you can Texas Wedge technically now, but this is used for off the green, so maybe they take that away and you can't putt from off the green without Texas Wedge. Which is kind of annoying, but like, okay. I mean, I guess you're always probably going to spec into this on the green skills. But I guess they're just going to take it away fully if you don't have the shot type. So I'm always going to be putting Texas Wedge on because it tends to be pretty good. I just don't know if Texas Wedge, like, if the fairway resistance, because that's a problem now, is like, if you're quite a bit off the green, you have to putt over a lot of fairway, you always have to add like a ridiculous amount of power. And so hopefully this game and this shot type will just be a little bit better in terms of indicating like proper distance to the hole so that you're not just like in complete no man's land. Now, if you add on top of it the fact that we have potentially this vibration going away as a difficulty option, then I guess we're just going to have to get better at eyeballing it.
Attribute points to create the ideal golfer for you.
All right, equipment progression.
In PGA Tour 2K25, we're introducing equipment progression, the ability to earn experience on the clubs and balls that you choose to take into.
Oh. Earn upgrades. Okay, earn equipment upgrades to enhance your club sets and golf ball attributes, but then on top of that, earn XP to level up club sets and golf balls to unlock multiple upgrade slots. So you have to use clubs to get upgrade slots, to put upgrades on, and then increase your equipment limits by evolving your club sets and golf balls. They're really leaning into the Evo thing. Evo Swing, evolve your game, evolve your club sets. That's the key word here.
Into each round. Clubs will have the ability to be leveled up by set. Players can level up their clubs by either continually playing rounds with chosen set of clubs, or by using level up tokens that they have earned or purchased. The level of your club will determine the amount of fitting slots it has.
Okay.
Level 1 clubs have 1 fitting slot available. Level 2 have 2, and so on. Fittings are back but very different, being used to improve the performance of your club that benefit layered on top of your MyPlayer attributes. They are at the core of our new equipment progression system.
That looks like, you've got 13. Is that for each club though? No, but there are 4 here that are putting related. So do we have to like choose which clubs get stuff, or maybe there's
a new approach is focused on simplifying things by making fittings universal. If your club uses that fittings attribute, you can equip.
Or you know what? Maybe these putting ones are always present, or maybe this is like what you have in your inventory, and then this is like what you can apply.
Reducing the number of attributes on a fitting. Increasing the number of fittings that can be equipped to a club as you progress. Allowing a single fitting to be applied to the entire set of clubs by type. And finally, removing the VC cost to fit a club. Yes, fitting a set of clubs is now free with any fitting in your inventory.
Okay. So they have moved VC solely to upgrading your character. Thank goodness, because now this gives us free reign to just mess around and like really play with our clubs. When there's a cost associated with it, you just kind of stop touching it and you're like very hesitant to ever equip anything. Now it's like as you get things, you can just put them on the club. You can mix and match. It doesn't sound like applying it removes it permanently. At least I hope not, because that's another little thing that you'd have to be worried about. But it being free, very, very nice. Also noticing here, 75 power on the drivers, 281 yards. If you give it a yard per point, 99 power being 24 more, that'd be 305. I don't know if you can go further than that. I don't know if you can get to 99 power, but I do think contact is going to be, contact and rhythm and all of those attributes are going to be more important.
Club sets in PGA Tour 2K25 also have Evo tiers, which consist of 5 levels with increased boosts for each tier. Once you have completely leveled up a club, you can use an Evo tool to evolve your clubs to the next tier, which unlocks more powerful fitting slots. With all the customization on offer in PGA Tour 2K25, we wanted you to have the opportunity to be able to customize your clubs across multiple golf bags, so you always have access to a set that might be more tailored to a specific type of course.
Okay, so now we have multiple golf bags. Not only can you tailor the bag to the course, you can tailor another one of your MyPlayers to the course, and that's doubly, essentially you have like 4 golfers or something, or maybe you have more golfers and certain bags are for multiple of them, but you can get real creative. This is going to be very interesting, just like from the strategic standpoint of how do you build a MyPlayer and how do you build a bag, but then how do you build multiple and mix and match those, and which is kind of the more important thing when you go to an individual course or tournament. All right.
As you can see, there are a lot of improvements and
There's
new
the
features
stinger. That's a big fade. That's a big fade. And I assume your stats will also dictate like how far that pitch goes, from right to left, left to right. Your stats on maybe the club, probably more so on your player, is going to determine like how angled you have to get the shot shape that you want.
PGA Tour 2K25 to help you create your own experience on the tour. At HB, 2 of our core pillars are self-expression and golf authenticity.
That UI.
And we're really excited how we've been able to bring these 2 pillars together to allow you to craft your own.
Please tell me that shot's going to roll down the hill onto the green.
And we're really excited how we've been able to bring these 2 pillars together to allow you to craft your own unique journey through the ranks and onto your way to becoming the greatest of all time on the PGA Tour.
Okay. So far, I'm excited. Now, I will say, there was hype and such, like when EA dropped things like this, but knowing that it's coming from 2K and how much I've enjoyed 2K21, 23, the way the swing is, if that swing mechanic is close to familiar with just some nuance to it and a little bit harder, this is going to be so good. And we're only like 3 weeks away. So just give it to me now. I'm sure we're going to get some more of these. I'm not sure. I mean, they said the first developer diary, so I wouldn't be surprised if later this week or early next week, we get some more information. So stay tuned for that. Sub to the channel so you don't miss anything. Oh man, I'm excited. Oh, see you next time.